Have you ever felt trapped in your own mind? Like you're living your life, going through the motions, but deep inside, something is holding you back? Today, I want to talk about a prison unlike any other. A prison that has no walls, no bars, but is just as real. And that prison is the porn-addicted mind. This is not just my story. This is the reality for many people around the world. We often talk about physical prisons, but we rarely discuss the invisible prison created by porn addiction. It's time to break the silence and understand how this prison works. For years, I thought everything was fine. I lived my life, did what was expected, and believed I was in control. But deep inside, I felt something was wrong. I just didn't know what. Then, one day, I had a realization. I wasn't free. I was stuck in a cycle of fear, anxiety, paralysis, depression, everything created by porn addiction. Now that we understand what pornography addiction is and what it caused, let's break it down. We will explore 14 key aspects of this struggle, from how the prison is built to the impact of pornography addiction to our mind and soul. Let's begin. 1. The invisible prison of the mind. A mental prison is one of the most dangerous forms of captivity because it is not immediately recognizable. Unlike physical prisons with visible walls and bars, a mental prison is built gradually, often without the person even realizing it. At first, everything seems normal. Daily life continues, social interactions happen, and responsibilities are fulfilled. However, deep inside, invisible barriers are forming. These walls are made of fear, doubt, and self-imposed limitations, creating a reality that becomes harder to escape from over time. 2. The gradual rise of mental chains. Mental imprisonment does not happen overnight. It begins with subtle doubts, small anxieties, and tiny moments of hesitation. Over time, these individual strands of insecurity weave together into a web that feels impossible to escape. What makes this process so dangerous is its slow, almost unnoticeable progression. By the time a person realizes they are trapped, the mental chains have already tightened, making freedom seem unattainable. 3. The illusion of normality. One of the most deceptive aspects of a mental prison is that life appears outwardly normal. People continue their routines, going to work, socializing, and fulfilling obligations, while internally battling a growing sense of emptiness. Because nothing appears wrong on the surface, individuals often dismiss their struggles, believing they are simply experiencing temporary emotional discomfort. This denial further solidifies their entrapment, as they fail to acknowledge the severity of their condition. 4. The power of fear and paralysis. Fear is a dominant force in maintaining a mental prison. It appears in various forms: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of facing the truth. Initially, these fears seem manageable, but as they accumulate, they create an overwhelming sense of paralysis. This paralysis manifests in an inability to take action, express oneself, or break free from destructive habits. Even when a person recognizes their problem, the thought of change becomes terrifying, reinforcing their state of inaction. 5. The silent burden of shame. Shame is a powerful emotion that strengthens the walls of a mental prison. When struggling with internal battles, individuals often feel intense guilt and self-disgust, which prevents them from seeking help or sharing their struggles. This shame leads to isolation, as they withdraw from others, convinced that no one will understand or accept them. Unfortunately, this isolation only deepens the prison, making escape feel even more impossible. 6. The deceptive nature of coping mechanisms. Many people unknowingly reinforce their mental prison by turning to unhealthy coping mechanisms. These behaviors offer temporary relief but ultimately intensify the problem. In this case, pornography addiction became a way to escape emotional pain and silence insecurities. What started as a form of distraction became a cycle of dependency that deepened the sense of emptiness rather than filling it. 7. The hidden cost of pornography addiction. Pornography addiction is more than just a habit. It reshapes the way a person perceives themselves, relationships, and intimacy. It alters the brain's reward system, making real human connections seem less fulfilling. Over time, this addiction distorts reality, creating unrealistic expectations and reinforcing feelings of inadequacy. Instead of bringing comfort, it ultimately increases loneliness, self-doubt, and a sense of disconnection from the real world. 8. The struggle of facing deep-rooted fears. Breaking free from a mental prison means confronting deeply rooted fears and insecurities. This process is uncomfortable and painful, as it requires addressing emotions that have been buried for years. However, avoiding these emotions only reinforces the prison. True healing happens when a person stops running from their fears and instead acknowledges and processes them. 9. How pornography delays true healing. Many people believe that overcoming addiction is just about stopping the habit. However, true recovery is about healing the underlying wounds that caused the addiction in the first place. Pornography provides a false sense of relief, making people believe they are coping when, in reality, they are avoiding true healing. Instead of confronting emotional pain, pornography becomes a temporary escape. It numbs feelings of loneliness, failure, and insecurity, but these emotions remain unresolved beneath the surface. As a result, true healing is delayed, and individuals stay stuck in a cycle of emotional suppression, never fully addressing their inner struggles. 10. Losing yourself to pornography. Pornography addiction doesn't just affect behavior, it rewires the way you see yourself. Over time, it creates a distorted self-image, making individuals feel unworthy, ashamed, and disconnected from their true identity. As dependence on pornography grows, personal goals, values, and ambitions fade into the background. Many people find themselves losing motivation for things that once brought them joy. Their identity becomes intertwined with secrecy and shame, making it difficult to connect with their authentic self. Instead of building a strong, confident self-image, pornography erodes self-worth, reinforcing feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. 11. How pornography blinds you. Self-awareness is essential for personal growth, but pornography dulls this ability. Instead of reflecting on emotions and behaviors, individuals become trapped in automatic, compulsive habits that override rational thinking. When pornography becomes a regular escape, it disconnects people from their emotions. Instead of addressing stress, sadness, or anxiety in a healthy way, they turn to instant gratification. This avoidance leads to a lack of emotional intelligence, making it difficult to process real feelings. 12. How pornography replaces real relationships. Pornography creates a dangerous illusion. It makes people believe they are satisfying a natural need for intimacy, when, in reality, they are isolating themselves from genuine human connection. As pornography use increases, the ability to form deep, meaningful relationships declines. Real-life intimacy requires vulnerability, patience, and emotional presence. But pornography rewires the brain to crave instant gratification without effort. This leads to dysfunctional romantic relationships, a lack of emotional depth, and an inability to connect with others on a meaningful level. Instead of experiencing true intimacy, individuals become stuck in a cycle of superficial pleasure that leaves them feeling emptier than before. 13. How pornography stunts growth. Personal transformation requires growth, learning, and the ability to overcome challenges. However, pornography hinders this process by creating a false sense of fulfillment that discourages self-improvement. When people rely on pornography to cope, they lose motivation to push through life's difficulties. The brain becomes accustomed to instant pleasure, reducing the drive to achieve meaningful success. This can lead to procrastination, lack of discipline, and diminished ambition. Instead of seeking self-improvement, individuals remain stuck in comfort and avoidance, preventing them from reaching their full potential. 14. How pornography becomes the real prison. Many people turn to pornography thinking it offers freedom, excitement, or an escape from reality. However, over time, it becomes a prison far more restricting than any external force. What starts as a habit soon turns into compulsion. Instead of choosing when and how to engage, individuals feel controlled by cravings and urges. Pornography begins to dictate thoughts, behaviors, and even relationships. Instead of being free, individuals become slaves to an endless cycle of consumption and regret. The true path to freedom is not through escape, but through breaking the chains of addiction and reclaiming control over one's mind, emotion, and desires.